On November 6th, 2021, the Anambra put out a nest to elect who governs them the next 4 years.
And it was really a very difficult situation because we had serious insecurity situation, which we are currently witnessing right now. And we had a lot of threats, a lot of people didn't come out. But at the end of the day, what happened? The Anambra, who also are very passionate about their state, against all odds, came out and voted for the Professor Charles Soludo to become their governor. And that decision is very profound because we have given him our mandate to lead us, to guide our states, to pilot our affairs, to manage our resources. And what that means is that as citizens, we also have a role to play. Why the person we elect, pilot the affair, we also need to also remind him some of the areas he may be neglecting. We also need to bring ideas. We also need to contribute our own quota as citizens. And we also have to remember that the office of the citizen is very, very important in any democracy. Therefore, we have to put all our hands on deck. This is not a time. This is not a time to blame, to apportion blame. This is not a time to, to abandon our state or abandon our responsibility. This is time for us to earn it. So, dear Anambra, I'm appealing to you to join us on this journey because it's not going to be easy. There will be a lot of obstructions. Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Sweet Angel, can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me let me know.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Okay. Because all right. Thank you so much. Because Dr. Madam Ezekwesili just said that she could not hear anyone. So I believe it could be from her own end. But before we wait for her to come, I want to ask us, really, what exactly are we expecting from this very government? A lot of people have had their opinion, a lot of skeptical opinions. A lot of people are also very optimistic. We have divergent views about the expectation. But I am very optimistic. I don't know why. I don't want to be very pessimistic about this because we've had it very rough, in the past. I don't want to continue on that terrain. So I want something different. I don't know about you, but I would like to hear from all of you who have taken up mic. I want to hear what you're expecting from the government, because by the time Dr. Ezekwesili finally comes on stage, she'll be able to, give us one or two answers to all our questions. I'll be jotting some of them down. So let's start with Odira. Odira, you're welcome. Of course, if you want to make contribution, of course, raise your hands up. Today, we are looking at something that is very dear to us, Odira, and you're from Anambra State. Quick one, what exactly are you expecting from the government, Soludo? What are the number one hanging fruits are we expecting him to, to carry out immediately?
Okay, Uche, thank you very much. And I must say, what you're actually doing is very, very commendable. And like you rightly pointed out, we had it rough in the last couple of years with Anambra State. For those of us who happen to be from Anambra State and who have actually traveled, to the east, or who are actually resident in Anambra State, actually understand what we are talking about. Me personally, before this election, I've actually wanted Soludo to lead Anambra State for some time now. I've actually there are some certain things I've actually admired about him. I followed him closely when he was the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and I can actually see some of the things they were able to achieve during that period. So I am actually very confident, and I think his government should usher in a new trajectory, a new path. It shouldn't be politics as usual. And for someone like himself, who is a technocrat, who is also someone who have actually traveled far and wide, he understands what it means to be a leader. I think he has all it takes to take Anambra State to a different path, right direction. There is a whole lot that needs to be done. But if you ask me, I think the bulk of his work should start with having the right people in the right places to be able to help him achieve everything he set out to achieve as the governor. There is a whole lot that needs to be done. We have, you look at I can talk about education. There's a whole lot that needs to be done in that sector. We can talk about industry, creating the right platform for our people, to for those of us who are entrepreneurs, creating the right environment for them to do bring about their businesses so our people can get employment. We can talk about the roads, a whole lot needs to be done in that aspect. We can talk about healthcare. So there is a whole lot that needs to be done, but I don't think you should go about if you want to work on on roads first or healthcare or education, we just have to start somewhere. It's not something that is going to be done overnight, but the work needs to it needs to start, and it needs to get started immediately. You have to have a clear path, a clear direction on what the government sets out to achieve, so that at the end of the day, it shouldn't be something, we have it here and there, and then nothing is being done. I don't know which area they would decide to take up first, but if you ask me, I would think they should create a right environment for our people to invest, so that we can actually as a people play a part in also helping making Anambra State what it should be. So it can be creating the right environment for people to invest. It can be in education. It can be in healthcare. There is a whole lot that needs to be done, but I don't think I can actually pick out one thing right now and say, this is what I think he should do. But whichever one they decide to, do, they have to face it squarely and make sure they are on and about on what they set out to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Odira. I mean, a lot of things, are going on right now in Anambra State. Expect a lot of things to be done. We have set up, of course, the governor-elect has set up a transition committee that we're able to articulate some of these things. And I'm sure there are a lot of brilliant things they're able to come up with. And I would like to also hear that from the horse's mouth when she eventually comes up. Let's go over to another speaker. We have Sweet Angel. Sweet Angel, if you can hear me, I don't know how well I'm coming out. My voice coming out. If my voice is coming out enough, please let me know.
Yes,
Yeah, we can hear you loud.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. I just received a message saying that my voice is quite faint. Okay. Sweet Angel, let's hear from you. Let's hear your contribution on this.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jay, for having this time to bring us together, and especially for Obi Ezekwesili. For me, I'm a bona fide daughter of Anambra State, Manedo, or Ezekwesili. Um, I love my Igbo-ness. I love Anambra State. And Igbo have good daughters, great women like her, and the rest that we can emulate, look up to them, ensure that your child is not a waste to our society. While having said that, for me, I would like them to look into security. First of all, where you're living is your safe haven. As in as rumor, about your wanna the month. So security is one thing for me because I like to have peace when I come back home. Home is home for me. Aligo is home for me. It's in my heart. So when I can't have that peace in Aligo, go anywhere I want in Anambra State, it beats my heart. I feel so bad about it. I like my childhood places I want to visit, but because of the agitation of killing unknown people, whoever they call them, shooting down people for no reason, we can't move around. For a city to thrive, there needs to be a nightlife there. For a city to expand and allow people to come in and do the buying and selling, there should be life in that place. So what is that like? Not because people are alive, meaning it will be 24 hours of buying and selling. So people can move around, people can go wherever they want to go to. So security is the first thing for me. Please, I hope and I pray this governor gets it right because we can't keep praying and things don't happen. I believe he's an intellectual and intelligent man who will choose the right people to do this job with him, and for the people of Anambra State. You know, we want this security. We want our Igbo land open. We are very intelligent people. We have timber and caliber men and women who can make things happen. We need that security first of all. We need to stabilize our legal. We need to make things okay for our legal. And then we can talk about all this education, industry, people creating jobs because nothing is happening there. Everybody's scared of bringing down business to our legal, who shouldn't be because we, isolate. So, Dr. Obi, if you're hearing me, I know your team will do something good and well for Anambra State. We, the daughters and sons, we want to come back home. We love our legal. We want to come back and invest. So, we go to the world.
Thank you. One thing you will never ever find lacking among Ndanambra is the fact that they love their land, their patriotism. It is quite undeniable. It's something that is very evident. Whenever you see Onyanambra, it's always very proud, of where he comes from. Their loyalty lies to their town directly. So I can understand how you feel about it as Nwa Anedo. Thank you, sweet angel. So we have Dr. Ezekwesili on stage already. So Dr. Ezekwesili, welcome. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear that too.
I wasn't
Yes.
quite sure what was going on. My connection
Yeah.
just seems to be a bit spotty.
All right, I think it's stable now. Thank you for joining us. Of course, this is the way we expect this government should also continue henceforth. There's nothing as much as important as communication, and that's what we are hoping or expecting to see from this government. You were the leader of the transition committee that was set up by the Professor Charles Soludo. What exactly are we expecting from the report and, of course, from the government?
So I think that thank you. First, I should say thank you to you, Ute, and to your colleagues that laid on these Twitter spaces and given the opportunity for by Governor-elect Chukuma Sudo, it appears to have been something that caught some people by surprise, and that's because it's not a normal phenomenon. It's not something that we have become used to as a democracy, and yet it is an important part of democracy. The democratization process is fraught with a lot of challenges of establishing continuity of thoughts, and sometimes partisanship gets in the way of what matters to countries, to communities, to states and provinces. And so the transition process is often used by mature democracies as a way of preserving the sanctity of the concept of government and governance, so that you don't have a situation where, because there's an outgoing government and an incoming government, things get out of hand. When you have those kinds of situations in a democracy, it becomes problematic for society, because gains that would have could have been preserved end up being lost in all kinds of unpreparedness, or all kinds of misgivings, and things just take a downward spiral from there. So I wanted to give this broad context for why we should embrace the culture of having transition phase when you have an incoming government that is able to work through a transition team with the incumbent to do a coherent and a coordinated, peaceful, dignified, arrangement for taking on the responsibility that their soon-to-be predecessors have carried over the period that they were in office. So that's context delayed. Now, in terms of the expectation of a transition team, I think that it's important to understand that there are two principal things involved in the changeover of government. One is there is a handover process. The handover process is essentially a process that requires an engagement with the incumbent government to understanding where things are. That's just a simple way to say where are things as of this date. Having taken over in 2014, the Governor Obiano government has been in office for 8 years, so there is nobody that knows where the the state is in every sense of the definition of governance, like they do. And you have to understand that constitutionally, that mandate that has been given is expected to be one that then gets transferred through the democratic process. And so, through the transition process, you are able to have a handover process that enables that level of um, information gathering to happen in the right way. And so the handover component of it was also a responsibility that the transition committee had. Handover meant the review of the status of affairs as given by the incumbent. So you have to do ministries and departments and agencies review. They basically write the status of things in these MDAs, as they are acronymized and called, ministries, department, agencies. You have to do a review of the reports that the incumbent, the governor's team have written concerning each of these entities. And this agency review process requires a lot of collaboration and a lot of working together, a lot of questions and answers provided, and then the incoming governor's team are being able to do their report out of that review process. That's one part. Then the second part, and a very important, significant part, is the one where an incoming governor, made promises, put forward a manifesto, and expressed ideas of what they would do if given the opportunity to govern. And so in the case of Governor Soludo, obviously what he told the society, what he told in the Anambra that he would do, was persuasive enough for them to vote for him. And having voted for him, he's now sort of saying, okay, I want a transition committee that would enable me prepare in a solid way to hit the ground running so that when I get into office from March 17th, I won't be sort of trying to figure out what do I do next. So the transition committee has spent time looking through that manifesto, reviewing the ideas that were put forward in the manifesto, establishing some, basic norms and principles that should guide the way that the choices of what should be done and what priority should be accorded to different things, the sequence that they should be done, an awareness of the importance of costing, an awareness of the importance of evidence-informed choices, an awareness of the importance of governance and accountability as the underpinning principles that will guide the way things are done, and understanding that accountability is key, and that the governor is one who carries the mandate of everyone in Anambra State, whether they voted for him or did not vote for him. And so the principles of equality of opportunity, of equity, of inclusion, of being able to manage the diversity of the state. So the committee is essentially saying, how do you present a roadmap of the journey? So in technology, you guys will call it the user journey, right? So what's the user journey as far as governing Anambra State in the next 4 years? What is it? How should it be? And so that's what the committee essentially had to focus on the transition, the core transition part, other besides the handover part, which involved reviews. Now, for this transition part, we basically had a number of things that were very important to work on. So the first thing for us was to have a very competent secretariat that could manage the transition process. And so we had that. Our secretariat, just people by, really young professionals that, from different walks of life, just volunteering and doing an excellent work of running that secretariat. And then we also then took the manifesto and looked at it from the perspective of the various issues of importance. So, for example, we have work streams that came out of the different issues that the governor-elect had stated to be priorities. Now, those work streams were the basis of us having very interesting sets of subtask teams that were responsible for those work streams. So, for example, a work stream is is economic transformation. That's a work stream. Another work stream is economic enablers. Another work stream is human development. Another work stream, land and resources management. Another work stream is environmental sustainability. Then you've got inclusive growth. Then you've got finance as a work stream. Then you have governance as a work stream. Now, for each of these work streams, there are sub-components. So in the economic transformation, you've got works, a subcomponent on industrialization, on creative economy, on entertainment, leisure and tourism, on trade and commerce, on agriculture and agro-processing, on solid minerals, on regional economic integration, on economic growth poles and corridors, megacity and rural economies, on technology and fourth industrial revolution, and on diaspora economics. So you can see how really extensive the issues that go toward achieving economic transformation are. And for each of these areas, we had to just burrow in and, really look at what are the evidence-informed ways to make choices of policies that will deliver results. Because the central theme is an Anambra that is prosperous, an Anambra that is a peaceable mega city, a place that people want to live, people want to work, people want to just basically visit, people just want to be associated with it. It's a destination, not just for capital, but for talent, a destination for people who really want an environment that supports two things: productivity and and competitiveness. You want to be productive, think Anambra. You want to be competitive, think Anambra. So that economic transformation pillar of our world, that work stream, was very crucial for us to just get it right, as was all the other aspects. And economic enabler, you had things like housing subcomponent, integrated transportation being road, rail, airport, and waterport, and then you've got power, you've got water as a service, and you've got ICT infrastructure and other kinds of backbone related investments. In human capital, you've got education, science, talent hubs and innovation, healthcare, health systems, strengthening and medical tourism. You've got youth, you've got women in governance, you've got citizens' voice. So, I mean, you have to understand the richness of the focus, which is why when Odera talked about priorities, Odera, one of the persons attending these spaces, talked about priorities, it was spot on. You have a lot of things that need to be done, but you cannot do all these things at the same time. And so usually the greatest test of leadership is the capacity to prioritize. Regardless of the number of things that are desirable, you must sequence the process of governance in a way that your priorities lead on to success, and then the success would motivate even more action that then leads to success. And so these work streams formed a major part of the work that the transition committee worked on. So that's one aspect. That's team A. Team B, where basically, they focus on the priorities, the policies, and the programs to ensure that you're not simply just interested in the thematic areas, but that you really had to focus in a way that you were not just thinking headline priorities, but you were thinking in terms of the policies and the programs that would give results to the priorities. And then as a team C of the thematic areas for us, were work stream on day 100 to day 200 dashboard of quick wins for the incoming government. And then we had the Team B, D, the thematic area D, basically, work stream on talent hunt, placement, and management. And one of the things that the transition team already delivered, even before we did the handover, was building the system for this talent hunt, placement, the talent hunt, of course, placement and management are things that happen in the short term. Some of it happens within short term, but then we've got a medium to longer term. But basically, Anambra State and its government has to know how to find talent, how to place talent, and how to manage talent. So that was important. Another important thematic area for us was evidence-based, evidence-informed policy making. You know, the tragedy on our continent is where we make policies on the hunch. Somebody just looks and says, you know, it would be a great idea if we did so and so. And everybody nods and says, that's a really great idea, we should do it. And then all kinds of resources, human resources, financial resources, technical resources, every resource that you can imagine is poured into an idea that is based on a hunch. But we basically have said that Anambra State has to be a state that is governed on the basis of evidence. Show me why this is a priority. Show me where it has worked and what critically made it work. Wealth is the analytical underpinning of the choices being made. What's the cost of this? Could the cost be different? Could there have been a different way of resolving this? Have we taken in all the costs, not just the financial costs, but the opportunity cost more broadly defined, you know? So this work stream was important for us. We now have what it takes to build out this evidence-based culture in policy making. And then we have the work stream on the handover, as I already said. And then we have the work stream on communication policy, strategy, and approach. We just don't think that you would keep Anambra being communicated in the kind of traditional way that governments have always operated. We just don't want to be that Anambra that is just one of the 36 states in the federation, just, you know, doing bureaucratic stuff and not engaging, not understanding the power of sourcing ideas all the time, because the citizens have a lot that can offer in terms of solving the problems of society, which is why when I was listening to our dear sister, I think Sweet Angel, she said something to the effect of, you know, I want to be back home. I want to be back home to invest. She said, I love Anambra. I love my state. Above all, she made a very overarching point, which is one of the critical things for us as a committee: the necessity for peace, for there to be a restoration of law and order in the state as a prerequisite condition for every other thing that we plan to see the government of Anambra State do. So this idea of communication is key, because the crowdsourcing of ideas, of opportunities that citizens have, of the sometimes, you know, people assume that citizens don't know what they want. They do. They do. The idea that just because people are in government, they suddenly have much more knowledge of what society wants, that's an anomaly. You know, so we want Anambra State to embrace that culture of communication in a way that is definitely 21st century compliant. And then we have the thematic area on risk and crisis preparedness. One of the strange things about governance is that people sort of assume that, you know, we have everything under control, not realizing that today's world has even accelerated in the minute it takes for you to have a risk, for that risk to go from a low risk to a medium risk, and then the next day it's substantial, and then it's materialized. So you've got to be crisis prepared. There is that state of readiness to keep governance going while handling crisis. That was an important thematic area for us also. And then, of course, the final thematic area is the documentation and production of everything that we did. So, you know, so quite an expansive things, you know, work that we had to do. I heard people sort of say, what are these people going to do? But that's because they didn't quite get it, that look, this required some intense work. And we did this in 6 weeks. It was really quite a day and night effort on the part of all the people that were on that team. And I am immensely proud of the kind of dedication, the sacrifice that I saw amongst our people. Well, so far so good. I hope that I can take questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ezekwesili, for that update. This is really immense. And of course, I know a lot of people here must have learned one or two things. I mean, while you were talking, I was jotting a lot of things down. I can imagine the level of work, then the amount of time and the dedication that have gone into this very project. And I pray that everything put in place, everything that your team, have assembled, will be implemented. That is exactly what we are looking for, because a lot of people will say, I've already started getting DMs. They're saying all these beautiful talks, I hope they are going to do something, and you know something again. Our people, or naturally, people are not really warm towards new things, so they don't really embrace new ideas or new ways of doing things. So ordinarily, one would expect, of course, them to, people who usually are used to normal things, they would counter it. They would rather go against it, say a lot of things against the transition committee. But here we are. I think what we should let them know is that we are not going back to where they used to be. We are moving forward, and we need to also institutionalize this process so that subsequent government, because one of the major problems we have in this country is we do have problem of institutionalization. So when one government comes in, and carries out a project or policy, the new one will just come and scrap everything and start afresh, and there will not be a consistency in the growth and development of the state. So I will leave audience open for a lot of people that want to make contribution. I want to bring on stage Buchi. Buchi, if you have something to contribute, please make it very brief so that other people can, of course, come on stage. And again, if you have something to ask, just request for the mic, and I will bring you on stage. Thank you. Go ahead, Buchi.
Yeah. Good evening, all. I hope I'm being heard. My name is
very loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Buchi. I'm a co-founder of Alibo Initiative. Though I'm not from Anambra State, but I've been pro-Igbo, and also I've done a whole lot of stuff. I've lived in Nnewi, I've lived in Oka, I've lived in Onisha. As a resident auditor in a financial institution, I've gone around all these areas, so I'm part of Anambra State. In fact, some years back, I did a diploma program in Oko Polytechnic before I switched over to the university. So I've been part and parcel of Anambra State, and with the election of the governor or governor-elect, there is so much expectations, and we are all optimistic. Having been failed by so many politicians, so the emergence of Soludo is something that gives hope, and it would be very disastrous if anything in the contrary happened. But we don't pray so. Now, thank you, Madam Dr. Ezekwesili. You have done so well. I so much appreciate the effort of the committee. In order not to waste the time of others too, who may want to ask one or two questions, I have something to ask. I want to ask, the document, can it be made public, or is there anywhere one can access it online? Because as a form of accountability, some of us would like to kind of review the document and also use it as a measure to follow up with the governance process in Anambra State, to ascertain, me and my team too in Alibo Initiative, we would like to use it as, look at it as a working tool for the governor to see if they're actually following the recommendations by the committee. So is there any way document will be made public so that people can have access to it? Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Buchi. Can we, would you mind to respond to that, Madam Ezekwesili? Hello, are you still there?
Can you mute your mic if you can? Okay. Hello. Can you hear me, Madam Obi Ezekwesili? Oh.
I think her network is not helping.
I guess she. Okay. Okay. Let's keep your question aside till she calls back. You asking if she will make the document available so that people, of course, our Libo Development Initiative will keep tab and, of course, follow the process. So let's go over to other. Okay, let's go over to other person. Do we have? Can you hear me?
Can they keep their questions really short and precise? No need to go around around because we have so many people on this requesting the mic. Please just go straight to your point. Keep it short so she can answer when she comes back. Thank you.
All right. So I go straight to Nze Chibugom. Nze Chibugom, go ahead and ask your question. Please make it brief. Can you hear me, Nze? Am I still audible?
Yes,
Sweet angel.
Yes, Uche, you're very audible.
Okay. Okay, let's move to another person, Furiosa. If you can hear me, unmute mic and ask your question. Please make it brief.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for this space. My question is, I've been following up with this transition committee and the handover process. Okay, I would like to ask Madam Obi Ezekwesili, what are the plans for the urban roads? Because she mentioned the collaboration between the government and individuals, wealthy individuals in the rural roads, which our people like constructing roads in their communities. So how about the urban roads? What are the plans? So there's so many roads that need to be dualized. There's so many roads that need to be touched. So what are the plans? And also, what are their plans on sanitation? These are the two things I would like to ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're asking about the sanitation and, of course, the collaboration with the communities in building roads, especially rural roads. All right, let's go over to Ajibusu. Ajibusu, I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, unmute your mic and ask your question, pending when she returns. I think she's having a network issue. Can Ajibusu really hear me? Can anyone else hear me? Am I still audible?
Yes, you are very much audible, Uche.
Okay, let's assume there was network, disturbing Ajibusu. So Nze, you are back.
I think Nze is back. So.
All right. So Nze, unmute yourself and make your contribution. I would also, request that people who are interested in being part of this conversation should request for mic, because we are not going to spend so much time. So you wouldn't come in, to my DM to accuse me of ignoring you. Please request for the mic right now.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I don't know them. Madam Obi is no longer here. I would have asked the question, but then I also want to talk about she said a lot of things, and they are all quite interesting. And I like you said from the beginning that we are very hopeful about Chuludo. I'm very, very optimistic that he will be a better version of Shein of yours. I think so. Then I will also
Please,
talk about.
hello, Mzee, could you please just ask your question so that we can take other persons, because there are a lot of people
Can
here.
you hear me?
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you, madam. We can hear you. So go ahead and ask your question. Ask your question straight, so we can go to others.
My question is, how is he planning to handle all these party interests, people who their own is just about business of the party, hijacking everything. They don't care about whether they are qualified or not. Because I've been seeing a lot of comments and talks about party this and that. How is there any or a part of the transition the process? Is there any way he's actually planning to make sure that he picks the right people, whether from the party or not from the party, to get this job done? Because everybody is looking forward to a better Anambra state, something different from what we used to have.
Okay, thank you so much, Chibu Nze. So, Madam Obi, before now we had two questions. Number one, Buchi was asking if this report will be made available, so that Buchi is representing Alibo Initiative, is a non-governmental organization that are interested in development of Alibo. They have been anchoring a lot of programs within Igbo land. So he is here to ask if it is possible to make the report available so that they will also follow up with the events and, of course, monitor whatever that is happening. That's the question from Buchi. And another question from Furiosa. She asked about sanitation. And please, Furiosa, remind me the second question you added to that.
Rural roads.
Exactly, collaboration with the rural communities in people in rural communities in constructing the rural roads, because our people are used to constructing their roads. Virtually every roads in Anambra communities are mostly done by the people. So, is there any concerted efforts, or idea from the committee to ensure this type of culture continues or modified in a better way? So these are the questions, I think, so far. Then, of course, the last one from Zay.
Shall I try to answer these ones now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me start with Buchi's question on whether this would be made a public document. Yes, indeed. Ultimately, one of the things that the governor would do by the time he gets sworn in about 2 weeks from now, I think, the 17th, he would probably settle in, and then he wants to make this document public. Is that at the same time he wants it to be an important companion of everyone who is on his team. He wants the bureaucracy to constantly look at it and to be reminded of the promise that they have made, more or less the contract, the social contract that they have entered into with Anambra. So ultimately, this is definitely going to be a public document, and it would be something that you can access online. That's our interest. As a matter of fact, one of the principles, there were core values that we agreed to guide our work as a transition committee, and one of them is the matter of openness and transparency. We said guiding principles, core values, culture and tone of transition process and governance. We said, 1, openness and transparency; 2, mutual accountability, evidence-based with a strong bias for facts, data, and analysis. We said prudence, effectiveness, and efficiency. We said healthy competition and productivity. We said competence and merit-based reward culture. We said mutual respect. We said culture of healthy debates. We said citizens' voice. We said collegiality, community, and collaboration. These core values, those are the things we want to see the government in Anambra State really be a light for, so that they can use that as a basis to on sanitation, I have to tell you that this got a lot of attention, and we brought in all kinds of experts. In addition, with the experts that were already on the team, we also brought people whose area of excitement is anything to do with environment and just building decent society. You can't have a megacity that is filled with filth. There are attitudinal issues to tackle, there are institutional issues to tackle, and then there are infrastructure issues to tackle. The sanitation part of it is major. The governor wants to hit the ground running with this as something to bring society together so that they can feel that sense that there is a common task that has to be done. But it's not just the kumbaya kind of way that you deal with sanitation problem. It's very technical. There are issues that are very technical, and all of these around policy and those institutional enforcement issues and incentive for people to modify their behavior. So it's a very strong area. You want to come to Oka, pass through the various the cities of Anambra, it's a continuum. You don't even know when you've left one town and entered another. You just want to see a different Anambra state. And so it got a lot of attention. On rural roads, you would be excited about this one because I am. So the Anambra the Anambra basically are very self-help. We are motivated to get things done in our communities. We sort of, we believe in government, but we don't actually rely on government, and that's such a strength. It is a strength because that level of Republican attitude to governance means that you have a lot in terms of the possibilities to draw in enlarging what government can do. So on rural roads and some of the other things that can be done by communities, we have what we now call PCPP. PCPP is one of the major areas that the government would emphasize. PCPP is basically putting community as part of PPP. So it's a public community private partnership to leverage the resources of government and community and private sector by designing an approach to infrastructure development that can optimize all of these players. So it is an aspect where I'm excited and looking forward to. Is it only our own community that does not have the kind of people that can really show up and say we can do these things? So we're going to see a lot of leveraging that would happen between government and communities. And I'm excited about the rural roads and the investments that would happen in that regard. And we're looking at it from the perspective of, economic corridors. A lot of the roads in our communities are economic corridors. And when you think of them as economic corridors, then you see there is a private sector dimension, there is a community dimension, there is a public sector dimension. Just bringing the best of these three actors into that process can be totally revolutionary in how quickly we can solve infrastructure issues. And by the way, because resources of government are so finite, Uche and the listeners, can you believe that Anambra is a $10.3 billion economy, depending on what exchange rate you're using, but let's stay with Mefele's exchange rate. So it would be something like about 4.3 trillion and 4.3 trillion GDP. But guess what the tax to GDP rate for Anambra State is? It's about 0.05%. That's awful. Something is totally out of sync, you know. So I mean, in developing emerging economies, what you expect is that text to GDP is anything between 25 to 26, 27%. We are at 0.05%. Nigeria is, of course, one of the low rates in the world, but even the Nigerian average is considerably higher than that of Anambra State. So there's something broken in the social contract between government and its people in terms of the payment of tax. So the resources are finite. You have to do more to build trust and generate more revenue as government. However, it is important to know that no matter how much revenue the government generates, it's going to need massive investment to meet with a lot of the competing issues that have to be addressed. So we must optimize community, private sector, together with government resources.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you for that insight. So we have a lot of requests. Sweet Angel, you have something to say.
Yes, thank you. Madam Obi, thank you for your wonderful contributions. My question, and I would say the most question on everybody's mind is about what are we going to do, this government coming in, what is the priority when it comes to the fires? The fires are breaking in the market in the east. What are they going to do to place fire trucks uh, in these locations? Thank you.
I'll quickly say that there's a whole section that looks at markets. And that's because, in fact, one of the things I failed to have said when I spoke earlier is that we agreed that we as a people, as a number of people, we do think that we all agree that we are a people that are market, we believe in the market principles, and that we believe in the market solving our problems. But it's important for us to actually frame this as a culture, as our economic philosophy, because a people without an agreed economic philosophy would be yo-yo. Anybody can come and just suddenly decide, you know what, government is supposed to be in a pattern, what do you call it? It's almost like a nanny state. The government is responsible for everything. The government should establish this, establish that, establish that. So it is important that we should sort of understand that on the basis of the importance of economic freedom, we are one state in Nigeria that respects that idea that people should be economically free to determine how they deploy their energy, what they deploy their energy to. And so on the basis of that, we have seen the importance that even physical markets, not just economic, the concept of market in economics, but physical market as a place where that exchange of demand and supply does take place. It matters. So for that which the plan focuses based on one of the key areas of interest of Governor-elect Soludo is the matter of connecting our industrialization process to our mega trade and commerce credentials. And so that requires that you're thinking of market, physical market, in a completely different way. So you're going to see a modernization process. And that is one area where the public-private partnership is incredible. There are quite many things that excite me about the possibilities. And Uche, I heard when you talked about, the cynicism and the pessimism. People are not wrong to be cynical. People are not wrong to be pessimistic. Governance has not always been the best for the Nigerian people more broadly. And sometimes people become jaded in life when they've been thrown, they call balls or whatever, So they've been through times when they had this sense that, oh wow, something fantastic is coming, and then suddenly it's like underwhelming. And so people have come to the place where they are sort of like, what my mom used to say, "Afuekwe, when we see, we believe," So sometimes you don't blame the people. But the worst thing that can happen to us is to get to the place where we totally don't imagine, we don't imagine that there's ever a possibility for something different to happen. I don't want to live a life of allowing that which has been thrown at me, that which one has seen, what has happened, to now foreclose the capacity to dream. There is something that can come out of this. And I believe that something will come out of it. I don't think that Governor Soludo wishes to just go into the walls, into the government house what does he need to be governor for? That's the question. I mean, like, what does Soludo need to be governor for if it is not to make the kind of impact that we all yearn to see in our state and ultimately in our country? So I would ask those who are pessimistic, who are cynical, I would say to them, I totally understand it, but please don't let it become a barrier.
Yeah.
When it becomes a barrier, then you're overdoing it. Even just allowing for cautious optimism, that can be an asset, because it keeps you in a place where you're not sort of closed your heart to any possibilities. A closed heart is really a closed destiny. I have to say that, So the other thing that I did not respond to was Nze. Nze said, how would a Governor Soludo deal with the party interests in governance? They already, you see a lot of misgiving, but expressed, occasionally through snide remarks. Maybe someone who says, "Oh, I'm a member of ABGA. We worked for this, and now you want to bring all kinds of people to compete for the job," and you're sort of thinking, so the issue here is that people haven't quite understood that governance is another stage in the political process. And that stage in the political process where governance begins to take its place, it cannot merely be about the people that are members of the party. That the governance process, if you look at all these other democracies that have worked, what they do at the governance process is to assemble a first 11 that would deliver the best of results. Why is it that on the one hand we envy countries like Singapore, and yet on the other hand we want to do things that are 180 degrees opposite of what the Singapore of this world do? We shouldn't be like that. The managing the party interests is something that any sensible leader should be able to do. And that therefore means that there are competent people also in your party, and you must recognize that. So I believe that a Governor Soludo is not going to be, so completely taken in by the idea of, governance that is very very, as much as possible, insulated from too much of the partisan politics, to the point where he now forgets that he has a political party. He's a sensible person. He's a wise person. He's going to manage this whole thing well. The thing is that his own people in the party have to understand that Anambra State does not belong to to just those who subscribe to the ways of APGA, but that APGA actually should be so excited that it is the party that has produced a brilliant governor for us. They should be excited. I'll be surprised if an APGA person is not excited about what they've achieved. They've achieved something phenomenal. They have this person whose election has elicited so much attention. And so what they should be able to do is have these kinds of conversations that say, how are we going to make sure that we really succeed with this? We want to be totally part of this success. And I think that that's something that will happen. I believe that the conversations around that, it's all the kind of thing that they have to, the two sides to the conversation will do their give and take, and ultimately we would see, ABGA playing its role, because it continues to play, and it has to continue to play an important role in governance. And then Governor Soludo governing with people who come from all hues and and stripes, but basically showing that competence, merit, and inclusion will not be compromised for anything.
All right, thank you so much for that again. I'm sure most of them are actually here, so I'm sure they are listening, and I will hope they understand what you have clearly explained. Mazi is okay. If you can hear me, kindly unmute yourself, please. Make it very brief.
Thank you very much, Okoye. And one name one, because I can hear me. Thank you very much. My question goes specifically to the slum of Anambra State, which is Oboko. When the governor, during the campaign, he said he would start his governance in Oboko. So, first week of January, I personally went to Oboko. And I don't know if you have seen the videos, I believe he has seen it. Now, in your committee, or the transition committee, were anything specifically said about Oboko and the sanitization of that place? Because after going to Oboko, I came out, I thought, Amaroma Watachakwalko Oboko the Makana Olokale. So, I just want to put it to you. Is there anything your committee actually talked about how that place will be regenerated? Thank you.
Should I just keep responding to each question?
Okay, let's take more so that's everything, because you lay a lot of emphasis on most of these questions. So let's take more questions. Chijoke, go ahead and make it brief, please. Chijoke, if you can hear me, make it very brief. Then after Chijoke, then we have Mwabweze. After Mwabweze, we'll go to Okoma. Chijoke, if you can hear me, make it brief. Go ahead and speak. Chijoke, Erichalo. All right, let's have Mwabweze, since Chijoke is not speaking. Mwabweze, if you can hear me, unmute your mic and ask your question. Make it brief, please.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Okay, yeah. So my question for our madam is, the outgoing governor made a proclamation 2 weeks back that Anambra State will start receiving derivatives from the oil production. So in your earlier statements, no conversation around the development of those communities. What are the special incentives for those communities, as this might cause some harm as it has done in other part of the country? So what are going to be their benefits? What are special plans for them, so that it can help cater them, it can help prevent rise of insecurity from that particular axis and disenfranchisement? So that is part. Then according to NIPC, Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, in last year stated that Anambra had about 10 trillion cubic feet of untapped gas reserve, as a form of alternates, as a form of energy, and as fossil. So are there plans by the governments to look into the areas and to make it the coordinated sectors? and also to increase our GDP. So, and also about education, yeah, you talk about education. No doubt the state has one of the least, if not the least, out of school population. But after secondary school, what next? This should be catered for like vocation studies, yeah, tertiary institution, more of research and funding. It should also top our priority, in my own opinion. So this could help in development of our people, and because lack of job creates this insecurity, because an idle mind, as they say, is the devil workshop. So I believe, yeah, if more focus is on education, productive education, not just the streamlined way of knowledge. So I don't need their plans, or I want to hear your plans about education. The last goes to public finance and revenue management. So same still goes to budget. There's a publication Debt by Budget, which states which ran that Anambra was performing low in terms of revenue leakage. Like there's high revenue leakage among the government, and it's expected that the government sits up. So we also made such declaration in general that, yeah, they is trying to target revenue leakage and what are the plans for it. But the statement made by Soludo was talking about revenue collectors and not talking about the optimal public finance leakage. So I want to hear your plans about that. And lastly, about urban renewal. Sorry if I'm taking too long.
Uche, no. This is too much. You have a crowd of people like
I was about to.
That's not a talk. No.
Yeah, he wants to take everything. All right. Thank you so much, Mwabweze. I think you have said enough. Please, if you have other things, kindly tell other people to say on your behalf, so that we can accommodate more people. So let's go straight to Chijoke. Chijoke, please ask your question. Make it brief. Then after Chijoke, then maybe we'll get a response, madam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I have special interest in IGR generation in the States and its management. I think from what I perceive, because of the commercial activities in the States, I don't think Anambra should be outside the top 5 states in terms of IGR generation in the country. But I don't think we are even in the top 10 at the moment. In 2013, it was said that we generated 8 billion naira, and in 2020, because I've not been able to access the figures of 2021, it was 28 billion naira also. I want to know what are the plans of the incoming governor about management of IGR in the states. I heard him say something about the chairman of the ARS, David Nzeku, about giving out of IGR windows. Must we give out IGR windows? Can't this thing be centralized and be properly managed? I want to know if he has plans to actually do that. Thank you.
Okay. I think we have
so
some questions, between the two gentlemen. And Mazi is okay. So, on Opoko, let me just make very clear that the governor sees an important indicator of his time in office as being the improvement in the well-being of those who have hitherto been outside of the economic benefits of governance. It's a simple way of saying that the marginalized, the ones who form the about 14 to 17% of the poor. Anambra is one of the states with the lowest poverty numbers, but we do have them. And when all you need to do is you don't even have to go inside Opoko, just the periphery of Opoko already tells you the kind of poverty, biting poverty that is resident there. So he wants to be judged in terms of how that their fortune changes. And one of the things that we know in development economics is that you can lift the poor out of poverty by providing basic services for them. One of the things that really gets to him is the fact that Opoko, there's no water, no water doesn't exist. Just as basic as that. It's a place that, you can't even begin to imagine how the people live and the population that lives in that neighborhood. So he is determined that by working around the issue of an urban slum upgrade, which has been done. I mean, whether it's in India or it's in Indonesia, Bangladesh, in Kenya, the up painful one because you would have instances of project affected people. There are really tough choices that would have to be made. Cost. That exist for how to do this. Which thing do you address first? How do you get, how do you communicate the agenda in the way to get the buy-in of the people that you want to focus on improving their lot? The day after his inauguration, it is the Opoko people that he will be visiting. He will spend a couple of his hours in Opoko. The agenda for Opoko is a very solid one. I am looking forward to that. The question was on oil revenue and making sure that you don't repeat the pattern of what has happened in other regions where oil has been a source of a major source of income for government. You bet that for us in Anambra State, the fact that Anambra now has the status of an oil producing state by virtue of the oil finds in the state is both a good thing. And because it's a double-edged sword, the design of the management process to isolate the rest of what goes on in community from what is known as a basic inherent tendency for oil to create distortions of all kinds, whether it's in terms of physical distortion, ecological distortion, and above all, productivity distortions, by people begin to sort of get into the culture of dependency on oil, and then it overtakes every other economic activity in what we call Dutch disease in the field of economic policy. So based on the knowledge of the devastation that is possible, the downsides of an oil state, the system that is put in place, whether it's in the management of it, in the fiscal aspect of it, in the community relations part of it, they are very well articulated both in his manifesto as well as in our transition committee work. On a larger, on even a more a more profound level around this oil thing is the fact that we recommended, and Governor Soludo absolutely believes in this also, that oil revenue, even without being called, being regarded ultimately as or becoming a state that gets some additional money as a derivative, derivative portion. We don't want to be a state that relies on money from the center. It wants, we're trying on the basis of the economic agenda that has been articulated, that money that comes from the center would just simply be a bonus. Not that. That's what we're living on. Anambra doesn't want to have to live on money coming out of Abuja. That's the agenda. The agenda of productivity, of competitiveness of Anambra would make Anambra generate such level of income itself, its own revenue, will get to the place where what comes from the center, they come into Abuja to get it, a part of the money, most of which is coming out of oil, is not our trajectory for the future. We should do differently, because we are a state given to private sector dominating economic activities, and it should reflect appropriately. Now, the reason it is not reflecting is exactly what some of you have said, which is what I already said. I told you that your tax to revenue, the tax to GDP ratio is 0.05. Don't you understand? When you and I are saying the same thing. When the person who are talking about revenue leakages, I've answered that question. So there is a very strong plan in terms of building a different kind of system and policies, and even some legislation around the issue of taxes, but to do it in a way that enables effectiveness in tax administration, and that does not become a disincentive for effort. And a key part of it is re-establishing the social contract between government and its people. And one of you talked about the windows. There are clear mechanisms for tax assessment, tax collection that does not end up providing a perverse incentive for all kinds of people to basically take over the duty, the responsibility of the state. But that the state can work with the private sector in a way that incentivizes compliance. You have to incentivize compliance, but you do it in a way that is not creating the distortions that enable people to be rich while the state is poor. So the taxes are being paid, but being paid in ways that individuals have become the state. You have to design differently. A lot of what will change is really not like some rocket science or what. It's really understanding how policy design will create an impetus for people to act in a way different from how they used to act. And then the gas reserve question, you're spot on. The gas reserve is actually very important for our state. Everything to do with gas to power is major. We can't run a smart mega city without sorting out the issue of power. The ideas around power, and it's interesting that more conversation is going on around the decentralization of this centralized power of the national government, as in the federal government, to be the be all and end all when it comes to power. So this is also factoring into the way that we're looking at the opportunity of gas to power, and how to get the Eastern Nigeria distribution company to act to act and to respond in a more optimal way. Also, in terms of the clusters, a major part of the arrangement on economic structural change is the establishment of clusters and parks, industrial clusters, industrial parks, tech hubs. When you do things like these, what you do is you optimize for your resources to invest in having what you call optimal spaces that unlock productivity. Because if you are guaranteed a space where the power issue is sorted out 24/7, the infrastructure, other infrastructure needs, clean environment, as in sanitation, as in water, as in, information, what do you call it, ICT, technology, and all the other important things, and also talent and agglomeration of talent within that environment, you will tend to want to be in that space for your production because it reduces cost of doing business. So the clustering approach, the hubs, the parks as a strategy for infrastructure development is a part of the idea of the megacity, and gas to power is huge in ensuring that you would succeed with that approach. Education. After secondary education, the education focus was hinged on what I love the most. It is called everything technology. Everything technology. The way that we looked at it is that there has to be a game changer for the state, and the game changer for Africa, really, if we could understand it, is technology. The Chinese had the game changer as being an abandonment of collectivism that was not working, was merely producing massive poverty and distributing it amongst them. When they changed over and realized that by adopting the market principles into agriculture, they revolutionized agriculture, brought the concept of incentive that drives effort in and rewarded accordingly, and it just changed. It was really a moment of change. That was the beginning of the Chinese economic revolution that everybody sees today. Now, the Chinese did that 40 years ago. Nobody saw today's China coming at that time. Well, for Anambra State, our own revolution could be that we are saying we want to be the state that just simply connects to everything that technology can offer. So everything technology becomes our paradigm for development. And with that, it changes completely the way that we think of education and human capital development. That's what the plan is. So that the plan is that Anambra would be the state where you have the best talents emerging in as many fields that are relevant to society and to the priorities that we have identified. So education does not just simply say, oh, what are we doing? People think, okay, productive education means, oh, let's just begin immediately to think of what happens after secondary school. My dear friend, do you know that foundational literacy and numeracy is a problem. It's a problem. When the foundation is weak, it doesn't matter what you layer on your weak foundation. You don't get good outcomes. You don't get outcomes that can compete with the rest of the world. So our recommendations start from the very basics of correcting foundational literacy and numeracy. Today's data, and this is not Anambra specific, but Africa-wide, today's data says that 9 out of every 10 children on our continent that are at the age of 10 and below are not achieving the same level of foundational literacy and numeracy skills as their counterparts in the rest of the world. So there's this urgency to correct the foundation. We're going to pay attention to it. In correcting the foundation, you know that it is mostly the children of the poor that are caught in this trap. And once the children of the poor are the ones that are not able to perform basic literacy and numeracy, operations by the age of 10 that others can do, they are locked into permanent failure at all the other levels. And poor literacy and numeracy skills is a predictor of adult poverty. So we must break it. We must break it. So education for us is looking at how do we ensure that early child care education, which is where it starts from. The children of the poor don't get it. The children of just fairly middle income class, the child by the age of 2 or 3 is part of a play group or some kindergarten or some nursery thing. That gives them a wide margin of advantage over the children of the poor. And yet for society that is progressive, it is the children of the poor that we should be so worried about. Because for as long as we lock them up in what I call intergenerational dynasty of poverty, society does not make progress. The progress of society is dependent on how many people we constantly are lifting out of poverty. And my dear friend, the best thing that economic evidence has shown us is that education is our tool for economic and social mobility of people. So we're huge on that. Human capital connected to health, the two together with healthy environment and water sanitation, they form the basis of a strong human development score. Anambra's human development score is about, within the region of what the Nigerian score is at about a little below 5 out of a possible 1, out of a possible 10, or 0.5 out of a possible 1. We can't be at that level. We have to do better because human development is the basis of an economy that is saying it doesn't want to emphasize revenue from oil. It means that the citizens are at the center of development and your productivity and competitiveness is dependent on how well you invest in the things that enable a huge community of people to reflect that level of productivity and competitiveness that you want to see in your society and economy. Okay.
Thank you so much for that. That was very insightful, and I'm sure all those that asked these questions they are satisfied with your response and explanation. So we will go on the final phase of this, and that will include people that are raising their hands. So I'm going to call start from Chijoke, after from Chijoke to Ako, to Ike Agwata, to Dr. Tochukwu, to Emmanuel, to Window, and of course Ifeanyi. I want us to take it very snappy. We are going to ask questions, all of us. Then the final response will come from Madam Obi Ezekwesili before we wrap it up. So Chijoke, if you can hear me, Ifedora, if you can hear me, unmute yourself and make your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uche. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. B. My question is this. What guarantees do we have that the governor-elect of Anambra State would conduct local government elections? Because I've listened keenly to all the things you've said, and I'm asking this question because currently, because of what is happening in Anambra State, some of us who are part of this conversation under the edges of Theta took an action against the governor of Anambra State. In fact, as of Thursday, we had our final arguments in court, and we're waiting for judgment. The judge says he's going to communicate us. And why I'm asking this question is because something significant happened back at 2016. I don't know how it was done, but somehow only one political party was able to field in candidates. Even APUGA itself did not even submit names for candidates. So somehow it looks like something that was planned to use court action to prevent operation of local governments. Now, we've seen instances when political expediency, someone will have good intentions, when you come into office, you realize that it's not going to be expedient for you to do that. We've seen the case of fuel subsidy. So what guarantees do we have that the governor of Anambra State, come 17th of March, would conduct local government elections? Because I've listened keenly to everything that you've said, ma. But being someone who does business, who practices law in Anambra State and does a lot of things for the good of this state, many of the things you've said would perfectly fit in if we have our independent third tier of government. If you remove local government funds and the funds that come from judiciary, governorship election will be less lucrative. People won't even want to contest elections because when they look at the amount of money they've spent, there will be no incentive to vie for public office. Guinea Coffee, for instance, local government where I come from, receives 150 million naira every month. So you times it by 12 months and times it by the number of years Governor Biana has spent in office. It says so much about what governance is in Anambra State. So, and secondly, what guarantees do we have? Because we believe that governance is a continuum. On the 14th of October, Governor Obiano promised 200 million naira compensation to victims of police brutality. That was prior to the setup of the NSAS panel. Currently, as I'm talking to you now, the report has not been released. The things we wanted to the panel, a lot of things which I don't want to start sharing here because I don't want to take our time. What guarantees do we have? We wrote the law, we wrote letters, we did all we could. When you sit at the panel, you see men of 80 years, 70 years crying because for the past 7, 8, 10 years, they've not seen the sun. So what guarantees do we have that some of these things, because if you're talking about renewing confidence in government, there must be restitution. So these are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Ako, please make it brief. Please reduce the time. All right. Go ahead and make your contribution, Ako. Just ask your question, rather. Ako, if you can hear me.
Yes, Anambra, thank you very much.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
For hosting this space. This is what we need right now, Two questions. One, madam, you know that performance culture drives execution. Of course, you understand that. I mean, when people do well, they are being rewarded with what they did. So we are often faced with the issue of who to elect based on what they've done in the past. Do you think that this government is going to make it something that a big thing for us to understand that, oh, look, this commissioner has done well, this person has done well, so that in the future we can be able to say, yes, in the past, this person did well while he was a governor or whatever it is. That's one, performance culture. Then two, with a wealth of experiences, Is it possible, because I've heard everything you said about productivity, economic enabler, work stream, human capital development. Is it something that we can just not limit ourselves to Anambra State, but to the whole of Southeast? How can we be able to, have that long-term plan, long-term strategies, goals as to achieving the Southeast and Alibo we all want? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we'll go straight to Ikagwata, and after that, then Dr. Tochu. Please make it brief, and let's do this very quickly.
Pusha, thank you so much, and thank you to every that part of this space, and to Dr. Obi Ezekwesili for availing us the opportunity to ask this question and to understand the direction where the incoming government of Anambra State is. I have basically two questions, and it's primarily on security in Anambra State. If anybody here is not concerned about the security in Anambra State, I'm really, really bothered about that. Because I understand that forever things we are just in all the plans, local government election, all this IGR generation or whatever we've just been seeing, none of them will come to birth or come to fruition or will make any sense if we don't have security of lives and properties. Now, we used to support states in the federation, not until recently. Life does not mean anything in Anambra State. I'm from Ekwuobi. For the past 1 week, there's no single day that we don't hear. There's no single day that you're not going to hear about someone being shot at Ekwuobi or in Oko. Just last 2 weeks, we incident something that happened in Ebenebe during a burial ceremony. More than 20 people, if I'm not mistaken, life was shot and no regards to human life. I'm really concerned about the plans this on for security. I'm ignorant of the fact that security is more like federal stuff in this.
All right. Okay, are you done?
No, let me just round up. Not like I'm ignorant of the fact that security is just like in the exclusive of this thing, maybe because governor does not even have control over the commission of police. But is there a way we are going to find an indigenous approach to secure our own lives in the state? On the other hand, the other issue I want to ask: what's the plan the government has towards Onisha and the menace the Taus are causing in Onisha? If you're into people, we hear God stories of what's coming from Opiweka and all those tax collectors or fee collectors instead by unleashing on the cities. These are the two questions I have.
Thank you so much. Let's go straight to Dr. Tuchku. Dr. Tuchku, if you can hear me, please make it brief. Thank you.
Thank you, Uche. Thank you for this opportunity. And I also want to say thank you, Madam Obi Ezekwesili, for this for your time you actually spared for us. I just want to Uche, am I free to make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
All right. I just want to suggest you see over time, I mean, governments in Nigeria, they are always, I mean, it could be government or governors, like everybody's just, far away from their people. Nobody knows what is going on. People who probably maybe people around them are always telling them everything is good, whereas everything is not good. I just want to suggest, now we are probably into the technology world now. Is there any chance that this government, actually I'm from Anambra to Ozubulu to be precise, I just want to ask, is it possible that this governor, our governor-elect, will actually assign people, even if it's going to be on a Twitter space, if it's going to be a town hall meeting, like maybe once in every month, so that people can come and talk about what is going on in Anambra State, any place or any villages who are probably experiencing some certain problems will have to come and talk about these problems. Here is what our challenges are. Here is what we need. Here is what we need. And it will be taken straight to the governor for him to be able to know what is going on. He can't be everywhere. So I'm so happy that we have people like Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. I mean, I can listen to her speak for 2 hours, like without getting tired of listening to her talk. So if they can probably come and times people over there don't know what's happening, especially in this crews, like, inside the villages and all that. People don't know what is going on. So it's just a suggestion.
All right. Thank you so much. And finally, I think next to, we have a widow's widow. Okay, widow's window, Africa. Then Emmanuel, please, let's start with Widow's Africa.
Yes. Good evening, Doc, and good evening, everybody. I'm not going to take the time, because my question is appendix to what somebody that asked. How do the governor get himself away from the party people? Then adding to that, because I have done a lot of programs for the past 6-7 years in Anambra State, and I realized that one of the problems like I encountered in various sectors of the military was their, I don't know what to call it, was it a rivalry or something? They just didn't want anybody from out of the town to come in with whatever your idea is. How do we, why he's guiding himself from the party? How is he going to guide the department or whatever from the people that are wanting to colonize it? That is one. Secondly, is this: how is there an intentional action of making sure that women are included? This kind of balance so that we can melt into the system actions between men and women, so that we can tap into both resources. And using that, I'm not a financial person, but having been doing something that has to do with rural women and the SME women, what are the financial plan and ideas and inclusion that we can structure out, within the financial powers of financial professionals that will cater for our women in the rural community, because these women they need some sort of financial thing. We need to capture the women economy as part of the thing we are going to use today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will go over straight to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, mute yourself and make your contribution or your question.
So, good evening all. My name is Emmanuel Ekwe. I joined from Njenje. Njenje is in our local government of Handover State. I've followed this program and this committee because if Anambra State works, the whole of Southeast will work. Madam Du Process, I love your courage and your tenacity, the dedication to work. Thank you for hosting this. My observation is that the report is more of an elite report. And from the discussion so far, there are people that mostly elite. There's no way the rural community we are carried on or are going to be carried on. And that observation, I may be wrong, but if I'm right, something should be done about it.
Okay, is that all?
Should be part of it. The business people, the traders, the rural women and children should be carried along. In program like this, ABS should be connected in a way that they relate this life, and every aspect, everybody be carried along. That is one. That is sir.
Just conclude.
I'm concluding. I want to suggest in a lighter mode, there is my friend from Anambra State. I will suggest that she be nominated for a commissioner. From Ethiopia. She's a woman. I want her to be a commissioner for culture. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I want Ifeanyi to ask his final question, then we'll get to it. Please, Ifeanyi, I've been asking you to come on stage. Let's hear from you, please. Ifeanyi, can you hear me? Ifeanyi Obaje. Okay, I think we have to go ahead and since he can't hear us. Madam, you've heard everything that our people have asked and have contributed. So we'll hear from you, then we'll call it a day, and we hope to have this subsequent time, because this is going to be a continuous conversation.
You will have the subsequent time with the governor. it won't be me. I have done my own duty, which is
Okay, okay.
so what,
Just you have to tell him though.
that's one of
Okay.
my way of telling you that I basically have succeeded as part of the process of our work to getting the governor to realize that he would be engaging with Ndebani on the basis of ONU Ndebani, which is an important organ for ensuring that indeed, as a brother who spoke from the southeast, carry people along, not in the pejorative way that people say it in this country, where carry people along means distribute money to people. It's basically about making sure that the community is engaged, the community is aware, the community feels that they are owners of governance, which is what it should be. So the governor recognizes this and will be doing things like he would do Twitter spaces, with the Anambra and those who would like to, have conversation with him. But above all, he would do exactly what our brother spoke about, which is engage at the community level. There'll be town halls, on a quarterly basis. He's one of the organs that will really work effectively as part of the accountability, the organs of the PGs, president generals of town unions. Town unions are very important for this administration. It won't simply be occasional touch and go kind of thing, but it would be problem solving. Community private partnership. You can't do that without being, in very strong cooperation, cooperative as well as collaborative mode with government. But it's not just going to be social gatherings. It's about really technical things where problems are identified, and then there are mechanisms for solving them because government is engaged. And it's not just going to be revolving around the person of the governor, because the governor is just one individual. That's why in terms of the structure of his government, the competencies and skills of the people that he would govern with, he must have the bandwidth to be able to do things, and people will feel credibly heard, even if they are not speaking directly to the governor. They know that the governor is aware that they have spoken, and that the necessary action that those moments. On the question of the party, this party just keeps coming on. But one thing that I know is that a party is an important organ in our democracy. As 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 annoying as it can sometimes be for us for people not to understand that governance is not about KJLNI. It's that culture, it's that mindset. It's such a rotten mindset. People think that governance is about a corn has landed, food don't land. Oh yeah, now we will go work for them for the food to land. Oh yeah, everybody gather, make them divide, give us, right? That is wrong. If keditwa gesi we ogeti we bu that na iwelo ife bu ochichi obodo atonze ya to nni aga eke ndị gbatalu nya ọha agbata eke bụ governance. Governance abụrụ agbata eke. You know, you have to understand that governance is about improving the well-being of society. It's not a series of transactions. Or this idea that governance is a series of transactions. So people have reduced it to the barest minimum of what it means. And so the culture, Bozi, that a party assumes that we worked for getting into office. So all of us that worked for getting into office are entitled. It's almost like a Catholic prebend, you know, and that's not right. So we need to have a party, for example, an APGA, model the idea that the party organ is important. In many places, even the party has a very strong policy unit that's also generating ideas, that's engaging in research, that's, you know, engaging with the society that they are governing in order to get some information that sometimes those in government don't get, and they make it available. There will be consultation between the governor and his party. That's his party. He got elected through a party. The party is important. The only thing is that the party cannot then think that the governor has to be hostage to them. The governor is now the governor of everybody in Anambra State, including those that cannot stand him. A leader has no luxury to love only those that love him. There's no such thing. Leadership is not about that. So the Mandi Floyanaya, Mandi is that now he will fail. Some of them are already saying, don't worry, the things is the central bank is going to fail. Even those ones, they are his, they belong to him. He has to govern for them. So we want to make sure that in terms of that tricky balance of being the governor for all of us, and at the same time being a very loyal man that is part of APGA, that is a leader in APGA, that the governor balances the stakes in as much a way as possible. And it takes leadership. It takes a great understanding of what the leader must be. The leader knows when to be a partyman, and the leader knows when to be the governor. And I believe that Soludo has the temperament and he has the sufficient institutional training to know how to politically manage the very tough relationships. On women and inclusion, you bet, you bet. You know, our governor is going to model that. What part of I think that some of you would be glad to know that by the time the transition committee was announced, and then I looked at the list and I said, oh my goodness, we don't have enough women in this committee. So we co-opted so many more experts to, you could say, the range of things that we worked on. The number of experts, the number of people, not just experts, but practitioners, even our brother that said that, elite, it was very elitist. We were not all elitist at all. By the time we were co-opting additional people to be members of the subtask teams that worked on has started, and we're going to hold Governor Soludo to the standard. at that recognize what optimizing the talent of everyone in that society. Those that have done it have been the ones at the top of the league table, of the economic league table. You actually don't help your women, you help yourselves by ensuring gender inclusion. You do that. So Governor Soludo would do that. On financial inclusion, especially as it relates to women and women in business, I have to tell you that one of the areas of emphasis for the economic structural change, and by the way, when we talk about economic transformation, what are we talking about? We're simply saying that you're moving from, the sectors of low productivity and deploying your resources to resources mostly, of course, labor. You're deploying labor to high productivity activities. So when you say, oh, people should go to farm, to farm to farm in order to to be at low productivity. The whole idea of economic structural change is that countries are rapidly moving away from low productivity activities to high productivity activities. And usually in traditional normal economics, what we see of that journey is that you're going from agriculture and you're moving into manufacturing and then to services. In the case of our country, when that movement began to happen, it happened in people leaving the farmlands but heading into low productivity services. So low productivity services is more than 50, it's probably about 52% of our GDP as a country. It's low productivity service. It's no different from low productivity agriculture. And then you look at manufacturing at anything between 10 and 15, depending on what you're counting for it. And you see that structure of economy is not going to lead to improvement in the well-being of people. So you have to do things that radically transform the environment for higher productivity things. And that means you're looking at the informalization of economy. Economy is full of informal activities, unstructured businesses. You have to give people an incentive to want to go structured. If there are basic services that people can access, if there are financial access that people can get, by being formal, they will choose to be formal. It's about policy design. The truth is, when you look at a state like Anambra and it has this great vision of what it wants to do, I tell you, when it breaks down into action, it's about the quality, the soundness of the policy design. When you design policy appropriately, there is a way that you design policy. The people for whom that policy becomes a source of profit will come to the table. You don't have to look. Private sector is not Santa Claus. They don't understand what it means to be persuaded by being begged. Oh, it's a good idea. You people should come. Yeah, you should think home. Just come home to Anambra. You come and do something in Anambra. No. The boardrooms don't act on the basis of such sentiments. So we have to walk the walk and design policies that are responsive to the kinds of critical success factors that would move business to happen. And so the access to financial resources as a part of that component in reducing informality in the economy is one that will carry women into the space of higher productivity. On the matter of accountability, let me come back to it again. I did answer it briefly about the town hall meetings and the organs for staying connected with the communities. We also have something called solidometrics. pseudometrics, and this is going to be what the dashboard of indicators that show that the governor is being faithful. There's fidelity to the promises that he's made. It will be something that he's engaging with civil society and citizens more broadly to monitor. The monitoring, the tracking of what has been done, what has not been done, explanations for why things have not been done. That kind of general openness of governance was canvassed by us, and Governor Soludo already welcomed it by even being one who had said he would like to run an open government. On the matter of arresting, the almost complete breakdown of system in Onitsha around the economic corridors. There's a whole strategy for that. I don't think I should spend too much time. I just need you to know that it is about managing spaces, and part of that managing spaces is the agenda for more clusters, more economic clusters, more hubs, more parks, industrial parks that will come up in the state. At least you need to have 7 more economic corridors in the state. And then on the security in Anambra State, Ike Agwata, maybe you joined us, but I had spoken about that. We made this matter the overarching issue that you have to restore law and order. If you're going to boost consumer confidence, investor confidence, you have to just make sure that we get back to being a society that upholds the dignity of the human life. Without, according dignity to human life, you can't even accord dignity to property. And we know that property rights, starts with just knowing that your right to life is actually respected before your right to property is then, respected. So the governor is going to within of course there's a double track. The first track is a track that recognizes that the federal government has constitutionally a concentration of the powers around security with them, and so he has to work with the federal system and compel and persuade and cajole, whatever it be. He has to spend political capital in getting the systems of policing, of enforcement, of security to that the federal controls to actually work for Anambra people. Then there is the part of intel. Intelligence gathering, whether it's through sophisticated mechanisms of technology or it is through the human intelligence that communities can be part of. All of that requires leadership. He's going to lead in that regard. There is something called the Anambra State Security Trust Fund Law of 2010, and there are many elements of it that made a lot of sense. It's a law that is going to spend time and rework with the members of the House to get it to the place where it actually functions well, so that the aspect of policing that can be done through these systems of community and involvement in the policing of their environment would work. It would work as a complement to the institutions of policing that the Constitution has bestowed on the federal government. The sub-regional question is you could see that in the economic structural transformation part of the agenda, that it does have regional economic regional integration. and that's huge. That's why we had members of the transition committee that were from, we had from Delta, we had from Rivers, we had from Imo, Ebonyi, we have from Enugu, Abia, so that idea that you can have this continuous, it's a contiguous zone of prosperity. Because the more that your market is and integrated in a way to optimize your spaces, the better for you. So that is one aspect where it's not just about it's a good thing to do. No, the economics of it compel us to definitely think that way. And the thoughts around industrialization, it means that you have to think of scale. Scale is important. Optimization through scale economies is so crucial for you to get to higher productivity and for you to be competitive. So it's huge as an agenda, and across infrastructure, across even institutions, across trade and commerce, across the matter of systems that respond to common public bads. So you can do everything about security in Anambra State, but how about the adjoining neighbors? If you're not coordinated and coherent in the way that you're tackling public bads, you're not going to build a wall to separate you from your neighbors. You're going. The performance culture is embedded by virtue of our evidence-based approach that we have essentially said will be the way of governance, the way of policy choices. So if it's evidence-based, it means that you have to monitor and track, and it means that everybody's got to. No, Soludo will want to govern. Wait, let me tie it all up by sort of saying that leadership is without easy answers. It may sound as if we have an idea of what to do with each of these thematic areas, but you do all of this within what I call tough political economy environment. Managing the political economy is going to be a major issue. There are going to be losers and winners when you do reforms. There are going to be losers and winners. You have to reduce the number of people who are thinking they are losers because of reforms. So managing reforms to make sure that people get that sense of stake requires very, very clear communication. It requires people getting a sense that they don't, they have to feel like, okay, maybe I don't agree, but I don't think I can argue with this, beyond beyond what I feel. We must recognize that the tension, there is going to be a lot of tension between what must be done and what people are able to finally accept just has to be done, because the people want change, but they don't want to be the ones changing. They would hate to be the ones that you're asking to make the change possible, because people don't want to lose. The thing is, if more of Anambra people gain, then perhaps At some point, the ones who even think that they are losing will see that, oh, so my third cousin that was not productively engaged is now engaged, because we now have 130,000 young people that private sector jobs we hope will come out of the various initiatives to drive up, private investment in our state happens. Oh wow! Well, maybe Soludo has taken away some empire that I had control over, but now the 10 people in my family have jobs. Oh, 10 more children in my family are connected to the rest of the world by virtue of everything technology. Oh, wow, that's wonderful. Oh, but some of the widows in the community now have some financial inclusion program that has made them productive. Oh, wow, that's great. That's not bad. Oh my goodness. Okay, less number of less number of people are out there on the streets just being louds, because there is absolutely no system of catching people who fall through the cracks. But now the Soludo administration has figured how to bring people into the big tent and design policies that address their issue. Wow, that's not bad. Oh, I visited Opuko, and there is hope is rising. It's actually becoming an economic space itself. Wow, that's good. So eventually, when you have things like that, people who felt like they lost something will turn around. They will turn around. So it is about results, and more results. And so as an ogonogoku ada adeno kambede. I think I saw a couple of names that suggest that these people are not from our part of the country. What I meant by that is it a proverb or something? Ogonogoku ada adeno kambede. What it means is that when you go for the evening service, the sermon is usually short. So we're at a place now where the night is fast spent. And so I can only just say to all of you, thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction, to repeat that ultimately how well governance happens is dependent on how well citizens demand for governance.
Sorry to cut in. You didn't answer the issue about local government elections.
Local government elections. That's true. No. So it's part of his decentralized. It's part of his idea of communities being much more engaged, bottom approach to development. So Soludo and the democracy are definitely going to be very strong partners. So I don't know. I don't have a sense of the details of when he would do this election, but I can tell you that Soludo is going to be compliant with what the Constitution expects. Okay. Is there any other thing?
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor. Yeah.
Was there any question?
Okay. Sweet Angel.
Yes, oh my God, I'm gonna be Ezekwesili. In the terms of agriculture for a state as big as Anambra State, what are the plans for this government to factor in mechanized agriculture for us to have more food for the people of Anambra State? We can't keep bringing things from the other states while we're not going into mechanized farming. What provisions will this government coming in provide this mechanized farming for Alibo, Anambra State precisely? Thank you.
One thing that is certain is that we have to understand that agriculture is a private sector affair. In fact, in economic studies that we've done across the continent, the agriculture sector is the biggest private sector, as it were, because when you look at these farmers who are eking out a living, they are just barely trying to survive. So the real thing is that it falls within the ballpark of the addressing barriers to doing business. You have to make sure that the kind of agriculture that people are doing. It's not low productivity agriculture. You'd rather have them come out of the farmland, and then you actually do more of outgrower scheme, where you have large scale farms and then outgrowers schemes where it brings in a productive kind of arrangement the small farmers, but don't consign people to the farmlands doing low scale agriculture. That's not a base, that's not a pathway for development. It's not. We can't rewrite economic history by just saying let people stay on the farm. That's not a solution for economic progress. So the government is going to operate in that space of agriculture from the perspective of enabler, facilitator, collaborator by legal ownership and the market for land that are land related, also in terms of the kinds of policies that would support anyone who is interested in farming as part of the industrialization process, not just primary farming, basic farming, no, but farming from the perspective of agribusiness. It's all contained within the idea of that are opposing reforms because there's a loss that they are sustaining, a personal loss, not a loss to community, but a personal loss. And it's usually the urban elite that have the voice to oppose reforms. And yet reforms, especially of the kind that I have just seen and worked on through the manifesto of the governor-elect, are meant to improve the lot of those who've been outside of economic opportunity. What Soludo wants to do is to expand economic opportunity from the Anambra and beyond the Anambra to the southeast as much as possible. It means that we must all be out there demanding for accountability and then also using our voice, because there has to be coherence to what it is that people are saying when they know that the reform is valuable. Let's use the voice to support because of the reforms that would work even better and improve the well-being of our people. Dalu Norine, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Dalu Norine Chineke Bagiume. Ndị be anyị ekene m unu, ana m asụ unu daalụ rinne nke onye chili azelu. Nwanne anyị nwaanyị bụ Madam Obi, ọ bụla ife ewu na-ata. Ife anyị na-ekwu gbasara ife Anambra, ife gbasara obodo anyị, na ka o esi wee gaa n'iru, na ka o esi wee dị mma. Ma yọ Chukwu Olisa ya bịa nyere aka, imago onwere ife mmadụ, imago ihe mmadụ enwere ike ime, ka Chukwu Olisa tinye aka ka o wee gaa n'iru. N'atụfughị oge m na-achọ ka mkpọbata nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Chinedu na sọsọ gị abụ onye ikpeazụ ga-ekwu okwu. You will be the last person to speak before we leave. We just want to give you this little opportunity because you requested specially. Chinedu, if you can hear me, just give us brief contribution you promised, behind this.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. Thanks, Dr. Ezekwesili. Nice. Just straight to the point. We want Anambra to be the Dubai of Africa. You said that technology is probably going to take us there. I run a firm here in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been doing investments in Nigeria from the rest of other Nigerians, normal Nigerians in the diaspora. is there's a lot of interest in the diaspora in contributing to economic development of Nigeria, and in this case, Anambra State. We believe that we can mobilize, up to $6 billion of diaspora direct investments into the country on a yearly basis. How will the Soludo government people like us to get us involved in this economic future that we're looking for ourselves? Thank you.
Well, I can tell you that one of the organs that will be established immediately is the Tech Council, the Technology Council, because the government of Soludo, I told you, is about everything technology. So everything technology as a work stream has been co-led by some of the best we have in the field of technology in the country that are from our part of the country. And it's going to work with everyone in that space of technology, locally and globally, to really make technology be the kind of accelerator. Changes everything. Just think of what technology has done in terms of a new source of growth for our countries on the continent. Imagine if we got it right. Imagine if we truly embedded and embraced that our own season is supported by technology. This is our own revolution. This is our own revolution. But when they don't understand it as policymakers, they just skate around it. This is the thing. This is what changes Africa dramatically. And so our own state is saying we're taking that part. So people like you are so welcome. You know that the Anambra data talent data bank has a column or a section of it where it's about those who want to volunteer, not people who are looking to be appointed into anything. In the appointment, anyway, you look, at most you have 22 ministries. Is everyone going to be a commissioner for 22 ministries? At best, you have the departments and agencies that would need new CEOs. Let us even assume that you had 40 of them. Would thousands of people be the ones that would run those 40? Okay, there is also a possibility that the civil service would recruit some new talents to revitalize the civil service. At best, on an annual basis, you're recruiting some additional injection of maybe 50 to such people. But that data bank is a treasure trove because it's essentially telling us the skills and competencies of the Anambra that you can pull on as private sector begins to come into Anambra to do all kinds of things. That's a rich treasure trove. It is. So I want every one of you listening to me to please know that this is a government. This government of Soludo is a government that has made it clear that it wants the best of Anambra, the best of the sub-region to connect with it, and to the diaspora economics that is part of what we have under the economic structural transformation segment of the report makes that very clear. So please do get in touch, and we'll make sure that that what will be done with the Tech Council, that people like
you. Absolutely. I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Chinedu, for that. Thank you once again, Dr. in making sure that this is happening, because this is actually the first time history. We are going to follow it up. There are a couple of NGOs or non-government organizations and bodies that are actually very active on ground, that are always, talking about the activities of government, looking out for what is happening in the states, that these bodies are ready to work with the government and, of course, be the eyes of the government, especially on ground. So this is something that we expect to see going forward. So I thank you for, having us coming to this space and